press secretary down South Park has a new target. And this time it isn't Elon Musk or Kanye.
In the past, in 2020, it was Natasha Bertrand who had 51 intelligence analysts falsely lie to her, but she still put it on paper for some reason, that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. We all know that's not true, right? We can all agree on that now. That was a lie from the intelligence community. Also in 2020, this same reporter, Natasha Bertrand, wrote that a top intel agency ruled out the man-made lab leak theory of the coronavirus origins. Again, the president was right about that. This reporter wrote a lie from the intelligence community to seek a narrative she wanted to prove, and guess what? We now know that's the truth. Also, in 2024, Bertrand pushed the suckers and losers hoax. She also pushed the fine people hoax, which was taking the president's words purposely out of context. And then last October, and I believe this is notable, Natasha Bertrand published an article in Politico from the intelligence agency. She said that John Ratcliffe was speaking without any evidence when he said Iran was attempting to undermine President Trump's presidential campaign. And then we, of course, found out that was absolutely true. In fact, the Biden administration declassed an intel report which said they had high confidence that Iran had done exactly what Ratcliffe alleged. They did run an influence campaign to hurt President Trump's candidacy. In fact, we know the Iranians tried to take President Trump's life. And so this is a reporter who has been unfortunately used by people who dislike Donald Trump in this government to push fake and false narratives. She should be ashamed of herself. And that's not what
the West. Or even Trump himself. No, the next one to walk into the chaos of Colorado might just be the brand new White House press secretary, Karoline Leavitt. She's 20.
Reporting is. Journalism is trying to find the facts and the truth. And this week we saw this same reporter being used to push a fake narrative to try to undermine the President of the United States, and more importantly, the brave fighter pilots who conducted one of the most successful operations in United States history. And I think the American people fully know that this operation was a complete and total success.
To go about the idea that these people are all foreign terrorists, but Judge Boasberg was originally appointed by George W. Bush and then elevated by Barack Obama. I just feel like I should clear that up.
Well, let me just say something to that effect, Garrett. 67% of all of the injunctions in this century have come against which president? Donald J. Trump. Let me say that again. 60% of the injunctions by partisan activists in the judicial branch have come against President Donald Trump, and 92% of those have been from Democrat-appointed judges. This is a clear, concerted effort by leftists who don't like this president and are trying to impose or slow down his agenda.
So, given that, do you think it's a good use of Congress?
27, the youngest ever to take the job. She's gone viral for shutting down reporters with a cold not taking your follow-up. And she's already become a meme. If there's anyone perfectly designed to be dropped into South Park, it's her. The story begins when the White House sends Karoline on what they call a transparency tour. Her first stop, South Park Elementary. The kids sneak into her press briefing disguised as reporters, and what happens next is pure chaos. Kyle asks about her millionaire lifestyle. Stan demands to know if she's just doing this for TikTok, and Kenny mumbles something incomprehensible that Karoline somehow treats like a serious policy question. But it's Cartman who steals the show, setting up his own podium and declaring himself the new press secretary of South Park. Suddenly, the town rallies around him while Karoline struggles to keep control. Then, in true South Park fashion, the real madness begins. Karoline's iconic cross necklace falls to the ground, sprouts eyes and a mouth, and immediately launches its own political campaign. The necklace starts giving speeches, promising free beer Fridays and the truth the people deserve.
One on a follow-up on something you just said, but since we have these messages released and you said that the president has now personally reviewed them, at the chat at one point Pete Hegseth wrote 1415 strike drones on target, and in all caps he said this is when the first bombs will definitely drop. Does the president feel that he was misled by his national security advisors, whoever it was that told him there was no classified information in there, now that he's seen these messages?
I've now been asked and answered this question 3 times by the both of you, and I've given you my answer. The president feels the same today as he did yesterday.
Okay,
Philip.
And on my follow-up on what you had just said.
Go ahead, Philip.
Caitlin,
I'm not taking your follow-up.
I have a follow-up on something you just said, though, Caroline. That's
Caitlin,
regarding
I'm not
Jeffrey
taking
Goldsberg.
your follow-up. Philip, go ahead. I've called on you.
Yes. There are a lot of reports that ICE agents detained a 15-year-old student with disabilities outside an LA high school.
Reporters abandon Karoline to cover the necklace's rise, and Randy Marsh declares, "Finally, a politician who really represents us." Meanwhile, Stan records everything and uploads it to TikTok. The clips go viral. Karoline's no follow-up line loops endlessly with goofy filters. Cartman's fake conference trends worldwide under #CartPress. And the necklace, now a full-blown candidate, gains millions of followers online. Suddenly, the world believes South Park is hosting the real White House briefing, and Karoline panics, as Trump himself calls, furious that her necklace is polling higher than he is. The episode builds to a town hall where Karoline debates her own necklace in front of the people of South Park. Kyle tries to remind everyone this is ridiculous. Stan just wants to go home, and Kenny dies in the chaos, crushed by a stroller rolling across the stage. The crowd cheers, but in the end, the whole spectacle is revealed to be just a TikTok sketch. We cut back to Washington, where Karoline is once again behind the podium, exhausted, muttering to the press, "Not taking your follow-up." And as always, the boys sum it up best. Kyle says, "I guess the truth is, we'll follow anyone with a microphone." Stan adds, "Yeah, and apparently, a necklace. And Cartman." He smirks and says, "Screw you guys, I'm trending."